Hello guys, my name is Arun and welcome to my channel. This series is actually a series of tutorials on Fortran Hacks, wherein I'll be explaining guys some interesting and advanced concepts that can be done using Fortran. And in today's tutorial, I'll be explaining you guys an interesting way and a very handy way to extract data from files using the namelist option and to write data back into files using the namelist option. Now, here's the thing. Suppose if you're having a large number of inputs to a file, very large number of inputs, and you want to characterize them in a particular order and then characterize them and define them in a particular order and enter the values in it, okay, then it might be very difficult to manually enter them every time you run the executable. Instead, what will be very beneficial is what will be very beneficial is, suppose if we have a file and we write the variable and the value along with it, and then if you use some option to get the extract the data, if the format file is specified, then it will be very handy. And that's what namelist does. What namelist does is that it takes some variables and forms and the variables and keeps them in a particular order, arranges them in a particular order and keeps it with it. Okay, and now once this order is defined, what you have to do is you just have to have a text file, some form of text file, okay, in which you write these variables and their corresponding values next to them with equal signs, and that's it. So when you execute the file, when you execute the when you compile and build the Fortran files and execute the executable, what will happen is that the data will be extracted to all the variables in a corresponding manner. Now, enough of me talking. Let me guys explain what's going on in this tutorial. Okay. Now, for those of you guys who haven't worked with a name list, I suggest you have a look at my 10th video in the series Advanced Fortran Programming playlist. There I would have explained you guys a simple example of how to use name list. Okay, that would be necessary if you guys are working over here. Okay, I define a variable enable underscore r underscore file name, which is equal to name list underscore read.txt. Pretty obvious. This is the text file from which we are going to read the data. And similarly, this is the text file into which we are going to write the data. Fair enough. Okay. Now this is a folder wherein all my files are kept. Okay. These files are open. No problem. Next, I've included some random variables into it. The reason why I chose these is because it has an integer, a character, which is a string, which has string variables. Okay, and you have a logical variable, you have a real value, and an array and a complex number. So it kind of covers broadly covers all the data types available. So that's about it. And now what I've also done is that I've created the name list. Now to create a name list, what you have to type is as follows: write name list and write the name list name. Okay, within your forward slashes. And then what you can do is that you can just write the variable names in the order you want. Okay, with a comma, just like how we define over here. You can do like that. For instance, after this I could have written like variable 1, variable 2, something, so on and so forth. Okay, I could do that. Instead, I'm writing this in multiple lines, and there's a reason for it. Now, this order in which I've written over here will be useful to look at the data in the text in the read file. In the read file. Okay, I define the name list and its order of the variables, and then I'm reading the data from the file, and it's very simple. I just open a file. I just open this file, namelist underscore read.txt, using this parameter, and I'm setting unit to 10 so that I'm opening the file with the unit number 10, and then I'm setting the format to be formatted, and this format will be specified by the name list parameter, name list argument in the read file, and then I'm setting the file status to be old over here, and that's it. Since the name list has a format available, it will automatically read the data in that particular manner, and that's it. Now how simple is that? Now what I've done is that after that I've closed the file, and then just to make sure that the data is extracted properly, I'm printing out all the data. with some strings so that I know what exactly I'm printing. For clarity, simple as that. Next, what can be done is that I'm writing the same data into a new file. Okay, and this file in which I'm going to write the data is given by namelist underscore write.txt. Okay, and writing is exactly the same. You just have to follow exactly the same method as you use for reading. The format, you don't have to worry about it because the format is given by the namelist, so it's taken care of. And here, instead of read, you just have to write, and that's it. Okay, so what this program will do is that it will define the namelist order. Okay, open the file name, looks for the variables in it, and extract and attaches the values to the file variables, and then prints them out over here, and then writes the same contents in the namelist format into a new file. Simple as that. So thereby you're reading it and writing the data. Now, if this is okay, so far this is okay. Now we're going to read the data from the namelist file, right? Now let's look at how the format looks like. Now for the format for this it's not that complicated. It might look like very completely odd and complicated in the beginning, but it's not that complicated. It's very simple. It's simple. Once if somebody explains to you properly, you'll be fine. What you have to do is that first, if you what you do is have an idea. I mean, look at the namelist name. Okay, for here my namelist name is list1. Write the same namelist name with an and in the with an ampersand symbol in the front. That's necessary. Once you do that, next what you have to do is that remember the format variable, the order in which I've replaced. I mean, I've kept the variables over here in this order. Write the variables in exactly the same order as you mentioned in the name, as you defined in the name list. Okay, now year follows month follows age, after that, like that, write it in the same order. And then what you have to do is that if you have any values assigned to it, let's put an equal sign and write the value next to it. Now I've written this equal sign. I mean, there's no you don't have to give so many spaces like this. Okay, you can just write the equal signs immediately after the variable and then write the values to it, so no problem. I just included this include a sort of space and align the equal signs so that it looks catchy, it looks easy to it's easy to look at. That's the reason, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, and then these are the things. To start a name list, use the ampersand symbol and the name list name. Okay, and variable names that are part of the name list can be in lowercase. So to make sure that you guys realize this, I've deliberately used both uppercase and lowercase for the variable names. Now here's the thing, suppose if you're using Fortran 77, then you may have to write the name list name and all the variables in uppercase. Okay, and but I'm using Fortran 90 and 95, so here you don't it's not mandatory to use uppercase. You can use lowercase as well, so not a problem. It's absolutely not a problem. You can just work with whatever, which we can work with this, so it's no big deal. Okay, second thing is that you can also write comments while you're in your name list definition over here. For instance, you can you can use your Fortran comments, so it will be perfectly fine. And if you want, you can use, I guess you can use shell comments as well. If you're using shell, especially bash, the comments are given after a hash symbol. Okay, I guess this is also possible. So let me just quickly check this. No. Okay, sorry. I think you cannot do this. So let me write this here. Bash comments not allowed. Bash comments not allowed. Okay. Bash comments are not allowed. So what I mean is, if you want to write comments in between, use the Fortran syntax, and that's okay. Okay, if you want to read multiple lines, it's okay, not a problem. Okay, the only and if you, suppose if you have a large data and you want to write them in multiple lines, it's not a problem. You don't have to use the and symbol and everything to write it. It's not at all required. You can just give some space and write in between, write like this, so it's not a big deal. And the only thing is, do not write comments in between. Do not write comments in between data. So for instance, the data is going from here to here, and they're like, I've written five data values over here, and then I'm writing a comment over here. So if I were to compile, build, and run this will throw me an error. It says that Fortran runtime error, bad data for namelist object test underscores. Okay, it says that while reading this value test underscore scores, they say that there's some kind of problem. So that's because of this comment within the data within the data stream. So that's the problem. And one more thing is, do not use and between in the name while defining the name list. Otherwise the name list will be terminated. For instance, if I use an and symbol over here, okay, for some reason, and I compile, build, and run this, it will throw an error. It says that name list not terminated with slash or end. Okay, now if I were to end this, if I were to end this, it will say compile, build, and execute this. If you see, if I do that, what will happen is that some garbage values started filling your name list. So do not use and other symbols. Do not use and other symbols. It will be, otherwise the program might terminate, and bash commands are not allowed. Okay, and one more thing, let me write this down. Do not use comments in the data stream. Meaning, if you are writing a lot of data continuously, do not have comments in between them. That's it. And other than that, these are all the conditions you have to follow. And at the end, you can either use this symbol, or to terminate. Okay, to terminate, use slash or ampersand end. That's it. You can use either one of these, whichever is convenient for you guys, and that's it. Now that's about the namelist file, and that's how you write one namelist file as well. Suppose if you want to change the values, just change the value over here, and that's enough. Now if I were to compile this, build this, and execute this, okay, now let's look at the namelist file as well. The year is 2016. Okay, my age is 24. Okay, the month is February. It's February. Date is Tuesday. My name is Arun. Yellow eye color is yellow for some animal, not for humans maybe. Am I a student? Yes, I am a student, so it's given with a true. And the cost of a pizza I ordered in rupees is 350 rupees. One of the last pizza I ordered in India. Okay, and the complex number is over here. Okay, and then some random test scores which I entered over here, and they are over here, and that's it. The data has been successfully read. And now if I were to look at the file, namelist.write, if you look at it, it's exactly the same data. Not exactly the same data as we looked at. Okay, and now that's the thing. With this formatting, it's easy to read the data and write the data. It's easy to read the data and write the data quite nicely with namelist files. Okay, and this is not the only thing you can do. Suppose if you want, you can take this to another level as well. For instance, let's say you're running this executable through shell files. It is also possible. Now what I mean is this. I told that you can write the namelist files in namelist files like this in text files. Okay, the text files do not have a .txt extension. You can write this in shell files, script files as well. I'll tell you guys how to do. For that, what I'm doing is that this time I'm commenting this line, I'm uncommenting this line, I'm using this. So I'm going to read the data from namelist underscore sample. Okay, I'll tell you guys what's happening. For that I've defined in a file called as namelist underscore read.sh. In that I defined a variable called as age, whose value is 78. I think I don't need this export statement over here, no problem. I define the value is 78 and I'm printing the value out in shell command. Okay, and then I am compiling the file and I'm building an executable out of it and then running the executable. What the only thing I've done extra is this line. What I've done is that see, this is a shell file and this is not a normal text file like this one. So what you have to do is that from this shell file you have to extract the nameless file out of it, this nameless part out of it. Now how do we go about with it? Is with this command. This command cat, what it does is as follows. It even in this entire line, what it does is that it takes the data from here to here, okay, defined by this I guess this variable, I'm not sure, variable or a tag, whichever you call it, by this placeholder name list value. Okay, it takes all the data between this and this and then writes it to the file namelist.sample. Simple as that. Okay, and now once this file is written, the data from all of this is written to this file. Okay, now this file will be used by the executable to do the work. Simple enough, and that's it. Now if I were to instead of compiling, building and executing this file over here, all I have to do, I can just run the shell file with a single press and that's it. Oh, I guess some error thrown up. Hold on, let me close the let me go to the terminal and then type bash start.sh. okay, it says that it's throwing an error. Okay, I guess you are not allowed to do this, I suppose. Okay, there you go. What I mean is when you do this, make sure that the shell commands are not available. Don't use any shell commands over here, and then the reading wise, writing wise, everything else is exactly the same. It's possible. Now if you look at it, if you look at the file, you'll have this file called as namelist_sample. So if I were to open with this in Genie, it's exactly the same thing which is written between here and here, and there you go. Okay, now thing is, let me close this and let me clean all of this up. Yeah, I just have my shell file, text file and nameless file over here. So let me run this in the terminal again. Now it says the first time when it does, it says that Fortran runtime error, cannot open namelist_sample. That is because this command is executed first and then this file is being generated, so that this is not how it will work. So what you have to do is that you just have to cut this and paste this over here So what happens is that after the executable is being built, the nameless value is written to this file, namelist_sample, and then the executable is taken and executed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these again in the object file, the executable sample file and the object file. Okay, now if I were to execute this, there you go. So what happens is that your sample file is ready. The sample file is ready. Okay, and the same thing repeat. The same thing is same as that. Your sample file is ready, and your name list is also working fine, and your data is printed out nicely. So everything is fine. So these are the two things. And to wind this off, to wind this tutorial off, there's just one more thing I have to say. Uh, what that is as follows. Suppose if we have a large number of name lists, let's say, and to denote that, suppose if we want to write multiple name lists in the same file, it's very simple. What you have to do is you just type after this line over here, this forward symbol, just type an and then type your new name list value, and then your define the variables in the order in which you define the name list, and then proceed further. Fair enough. And that's simple enough. Okay, and that's how you go about with that. Okay, so this way you can have multiple name lists, and whose values can be defined and read into the Fortran files easily. Now that there's one more there's an advantage over the name list file using shell, and this is as follows. Like if you're using the normal name list file over here, what happens is that this file is just used as a placeholder. Okay, and as a consequence, since this is being used as a placeholder, okay, you just have to manually enter the values all the time. Now here's the thing. Suppose if you want to access the shell files, let's say shell variables that are the environment variables that are available in your system, and that you want to pass it to your program, into your Fortran program, then using shell files is very handy, very handy. For instance, what I've done here is that instead of writing my text file like this, all I've done is that I'm compiling the file, building the executable, and making a nameless file from the same shell file, and then executing it all with one script. Now this has advantages. What I've done is that I'm just passing the shell script value directly into one of the variables. For instance, I define age to be 78. Okay, and then to set this value of age to this value of 78, instead of me writing it again, I just have to put a $sign and then the shell variable which I define on the top over here. This way, if you want to pass any environment variables into the shell, through your Fortran program, using name list with shell scripts is very handy. Now this may not be a very useful feature for general purpose application, but trust me, this is very handy if you guys are working with large number of models, very large models, wherein you have you have literally hundreds of inputs to feed in. Okay, and these name list option is very handy for that. Okay, now that's all I have for you guys in this tutorial, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in another tutorial with some other interesting concept. Hope you guys liked it. So see you guys and take care.